And finally, they come back and say, page 1 of the appraisal indicates that the subject's view is towards commercial property. Freddie Mac used Google Maps. Here they are using our maps. That the subject property is within 1 block of commercial influence. It's actually closer, it backs to it. However, page 2 of the appraisal reflects that the subject view is towards a church. Well, it is. I'm looking at a church. There's an alley separation behind me, and then I have commercial property along a major thoroughfare. And that 2 of the 3 comparables are adjusted upward for inferior view because they're towards a school. Freddie Mac viewed the comparable sales in Google. While the school is visible, the appraiser did not provide market support to evidence that the school view is more detrimental than being close to a church. They're wrong here because it isn't a commercial view. The appraiser's comments also indicate that the location of sales 2 and 3 was inferior and an upward adjustment was applied, but there was no market support. All right, this is where I come back and say, look, despite what you're saying, these comments are all in the report. You need to go back and read it. This was all discussed. The subject's front view is towards a church. It's not commercial. Comparable 1 and 2 are located across the street from Tilden High School. There's over 3,000 students in this high school. Even if the appraiser did not comment on this in the report, but he did, an underwriter would understand that a view of an inner city high school would be inferior to that of a local church and present a higher level of external obsolescence. The view, as well as the traffic and noise pattern of a property located across the street from a school, especially a high school, is impacted twice a day, 5 days a week, where the proximity to a church would perhaps impact the view, traffic, and noise pattern 1 day a week. So I have external obsolescence in the comparables. Some are just more heavier than others. They don't understand the concept. I'm trying to bring it through to them. The appraiser gave a full explanation supported with average selling prices, and we did this, why the location adjustment was warranted for Comp 1 and 2. They're still in the same school districts, but in Chicago, you can jump even a heavily trafficked thoroughfare, and you're in a slightly nicer area with slightly higher, most of it's in the land value, but it's going to play out that they're higher site values. So now I'm going to reconcile. I'm going to just bring it through, and I'm going to actually ask them to not make my lender buy this back. So it's a good appraisal. The appraiser utilized the best data available in this particular market at the time of the inspection, reminding them that 3 sales were all within a half a mile. They're all raised ranch-style homes like the subject. None of them had line item adjustments in excess of 10%. Now, I know that's an FHA issue, not a Fannie Freddie, but sometimes they don't understand that, so I'm throwing it in anyway. Further, none of the sales exceed the standard 15% net. They don't exceed the 25% gross. The adjustments were all made for all the variances. None of them were excessive. The sales prices of the comparables as well as the adjusted prices bracket the final opinion of value. Now, I know bracketing really isn't a big guideline, but it's starting to be bigger and bigger nowadays. So I'm even going to focus on the fact that, look what I've done here. I've given you the same models of same type of properties in the same neighborhood without violating any of the guideline adjustments, and they're all in close proximity. And I'm even bracketing. Freddie Mac does not state if the final opinion of value is too high or too low. They're not saying one way or another. The final opinion of value does, however, fall below the sales price and adjusted sales prices of 2 of the 3 comparables, substantially below the sales price of a 3rd comparable, I should have said 4th, which would suggest that the appraiser was not attempting to provide an inflated value conclusion. So I want to get that across too, that there's nothing in this report that would suggest I'm advocating for the client's cause. Our firm, now I'm going to again brag on me. Our firm's been around Chicago for over 30 years. We have over 40 appraisers. We've never had a complaint against us with the state of Illinois. If there's good things that are in your career, you need to tell them who you are. Okay? This statement takes on even greater meaning when you consider that the state receives over 400 complaints a year against appraisers for the past 15 years. We pride ourselves with being the best, and our primary focus has always been to provide high-quality reports. ABC Bank is a prime example of a large area lender who has utilized their services for 25 years without incident until now. I would ask the representatives at Freddie Mac to reconsider their decision to request this ABC Bank to buy back this loan based solely on the statements in their letter. Hopefully considering all of our comments in this response, as well as the lack of any additional market data that would dispute our value, because you're not giving me any, you will agree that this appraisal does support the final opinion of value. Then I kind of tell them what's happening today. I'm kind of giving them a little pet saying, it wasn't really a bad review if I did it today, by saying an appraisal performed today using all these new UAD formats, additional scope of work issues like scope creep, both of which didn't exist at the time of the original appraisal, may have resulted in a report with more commentary. I'm not saying the value would have changed, but I might have put in more commentary because the industry today demands more commentary. But in all fairness to the appraiser, the reporting presented in this assignment was common at the time that it was done, not only by our appraiser, but by his peers as well. And as a result of this, they did let my bank off the hook for buying this one back. Any questions on that before we jump over to Tom's? Okay, we're in the home stretch here, folks. We're doing good. And that's why we wanted to have you also get a handout. So lift any of this language you want. I mean, if there's stuff in there that you think is a good way to approach it, use it as like a format.
All right, mine's a little bit, my case here
Tom,
is,
where's the sign-in sheet?
oh,
Where do we have it? All right, there's still some people who have not signed.
all right, this second case, now Tim's was a Freddie Mac. This one's a Fannie Mae, and we got a letter regarding ABC Bank regarding the concerns of comparables, adjustments used in the origination appraisal, and so one of the things that they came back with on this one was they wanted a third local expert appraiser to address the retrospective field review or basically do another one. So in this particular case, was hired as a consultant, so they had a field reviewer go out there, they sent it back to the originator. The originator did their own field review back, and then they needed somebody to look at the two and see which one was correct, and to try to get them out of this dispute. So Fannie Mae had, like Tim had, 5 bullet points. On this one, I think there's 4. And their opening line was, we were not able to clear the other findings regarding the location of sales, the difference in design and style, and proper adjustment applied to the sales, and that sales 1, 2, 3, and 4 were located outside the defined neighborhood boundaries established within the origination appraisal. So that was their concern. And so my opinion back on this, and I says, hey, this property is located in this Jefferson Park neighborhood as the City of Chicago neighborhood map, as well as being part of Jefferson Township. And I said, with the exception of origination sale 3, I disagree with the reviewer's claim that origination sales 1, 2, 4, and 7 should have been excluded because they were outside the area. I do agree that sale 3 was located outside the facts. So I'm agreeing that on the review that they're right on one point, but they're wrong on the other, and now I'm gonna tell them why. The location, the subject in those sales 1, 2, 4, and 7, my review confirms that they are also definitely located in Jefferson Park. And they have other identifiers that are the same as the subject in the assessor's records. And just like Tim was doing, trying to educate the client back at the same time. So just because some sales are not within a 1-mile radius guideline doesn't necessarily mean that they're not in the same neighborhood or should be excluded as comparables. Should often be understood by the reader that realtors often delineate in the MLS system further small pockets of neighborhoods that are part of the overall neighborhood. Local appraiser has been appraising in the city for over 25 years, and I have appraised in the neighborhood many times over the years.
Actually, Fannie and Freddie don't have distance requirements for comparables. That's like one of those industry myths, but you're not going to find it in the selling guide. They don't have restrictions.